Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well. Today's video is going to be another first impression foundation video on a foundation I am very excited to share with you. This is by L'Oreal. I found this at Bed Bath & Beyond, and this is their new Infallible Total Cover Foundation. Now, if you guys know anything about L'Oreal foundations, they already have an Infallible line with the Pro Matte, which is the one I love, and the Pro Glow, which is great for people with dry skin. I have super oily skin and large pores, so the Infallible Pro Matte is definitely one of my holy grail foundations from the drugstore. I love this. It kind of has like a velvety matte finish, 24-hour wear, doesn't feel very heavy on the skin, and it does control my oils. So because I love this so much, I was super excited to see that they came out with a new one. And this is the Total Cover Foundation. So it says it's 24-hour wear, full coverage, but also has an air-light texture and it has a natural finish. So I'm really excited to try this. Again, I found this at Bed Bath & Beyond. I do know it's popping up places at Walmart and CVS. It should be in all the stores soon by early 2017. I do know this is a new release from them. The display that I found also had a couple of like concealer palettes. So there was one that had concealer shades, and then there was also another one that had correcting shades, but I did not pick any of those up. I wasn't really interested in those too much, but I was super interested in this. So if you guys want to see my first impression review and demo on this new L'Oreal Total Cover Foundation, then just keep on watching. So as always, I love telling you guys a little bit more about the foundation before I apply it on my skin. So I believe this was $11.99 again at my local Bed Bath & Beyond. This says it's a pro face and body foundation, lightweight and seamless coverage. So you can apply this everywhere on your face, neck, arms, legs to cover imperfections and even skin tone. So supposedly this is able to cover tattoos. Now the display that I saw, it had this foundation covering a tattoo, and I don't know how well that's going to translate onto the skin for like redness and imperfections. That's probably why they are also marketing this as a body foundation. So if you need to cover something that has a lot of pigment on your skin, you probably can with this, but we're gonna see and test that out, especially with the redness and texture on my skin. I got the shade 303 Nude Beige. Now when I was comparing the shades to the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte while I was at the store, I have this in the color 103, so naturally I thought I would be 303 in this, but it's actually a little bit different. The numbering system reminds me a lot of the Pro Glow, which is different than the Pro Matte. So this was the first one they came out with, and I have it in the shade 103 Natural Buff. Now this one, again, I thought I would be 303 because the numbers were going to correspond, but this one is actually Nude Beige, which I believe is 102 in this one. So make sure you're kind of looking at the names of the foundation, not just the numbers, because they are a little bit different from line to line. So if you do have a shade that you like in the foundation by the name, not the number, definitely go with the name, because I definitely was a little confused when I was at the store. I was like, I don't know which one to get, but I did buy two of them. I did swatch 304 and it was way too orangey for my skin. So I haven't tried this one out yet, but I think it's going to be perfect for me. It looks like it's going to have more neutral undertones, and it's kind of hard to see. The packaging is nice. It is covered by whatever they put on the top. Unlike this one where you can see through it, you can see the color right there. This one is not like that. This is just like kind of painted on, and then you'll see the little bit of space down there, which is what the foundation color is. So the packaging, I do like this a lot. It's a nice skinny tube. You open it up and it actually has more of a skinny, precise applicator at the bottom right there. I'm assuming that this is going to be a little bit more of a bouncy, air-light, kind of moussey texture because it is full coverage. This one was a little bit more liquidy, and this one was very well loved, as you guys can see. The applicator is very different, but I love this foundation. It's one of my favorites, so I definitely have high expectations for this one. Just to tell you guys a little bit more about my skin before we go into prepping it for the foundation, I do have very oily skin. I have a super oily T-zone, acne, spots, and kind of hormonal areas on my chin here. I do have very large pores and some sensitivity and rosacea on my cheeks. So I definitely have a little bit of everything going on. So that's why I'm hoping that this is going to work out well for my skin, also keep me matte all day and control my oils. So the first thing that I like to do is apply my moisturizer. I'm going to be using a new one today. I actually hauled this not too long ago, and you guys will probably know why if you watched that haul. I'm going to be applying this on my skin. I do like to moisturize everywhere on my skin, but I'm only going to be priming half of it today. So just going to be working this into the skin. This is a great moisturizer for before your makeup. It blurs out all your imperfections and it kind of creates like a nice tacky base to put all your makeup on top. We'll be only priming half of my face, so I'm going to first go in with the Estee Edit Pore Vanishing Stick, and I'm going to be priming my right side of my face. So I'm just going to be putting this right in the areas that I have larger pores. And then the other primer that I like to layer with that one is the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer. This is great for oily skin. So I'm just going to be applying about a pump of that right there on the one half of my face. Alright, now to apply this foundation, again, I think it's going to be a little bit more of a moussey texture, so I will be applying it with my Morphe E6 brush. This is just a really nice flat top Kabuki brush. I always feel like I get a little bit more full coverage with this brush rather than like a beauty blender or a beauty sponge, because this one I can just press into my skin and kind of build up that coverage instead of kind of shearing it out with the beauty blender because it is wet. So again, this is what the packaging looks like. I have mine in the shade 303 Nude Beige. I'm just going to be applying a little bit of this. You guys can see just how kind of thick it is. I'm going to start with that because I'm not really sure how far this is going to go. Ooh, it's actually kind of like, yeah, definitely moussey. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's kind of like not moving very much. So let's apply this to the skin. So I actually used all of that for 1/2, so it looks like it's going to be thick, but it actually spread out pretty nicely on my skin. So this is the side that I do not have primer on. I'm just going to be buffing that out. Wow, full coverage already. Can you guys see that? Whew. Damn. It definitely does feel light. I don't feel like I have much on my skin, even though I am getting a pretty full coverage. Like, look at the difference that makes. I have a lot of redness and texture over on this side, and this just evened everything out. I feel like I look very airbrushed, but it feels so lightweight, which is nice. So that is the one layer on the unprimed side, and then I'm going to be applying roughly the same amount of product on the other side. I'm just going to be squirting just like that much on, and let's try it on the prime side. I don't feel like it went on any differently on the prime side versus the unprimed side, but my face is so full coverage right now and I'm loving it. It doesn't feel heavy or like cakey or anything like that, which is nice. Now I'm looking at my skin up close. I don't notice a huge difference in the texture or pore area versus the unprimed side or the prime side, so that's really awesome. I do feel like this is laying really, really nicely on my skin. It doesn't feel cakey, it doesn't feel heavy. It blended out really, really nicely as well, and I think the color of this matches me perfectly. It does kind of have a nice natural finish. I do have to set this because it is a little bit tacky. If you are dry, you probably wouldn't need to set this, but because I'm oily, I'm going to. It's just a little bit tacky to the touch, but I definitely feel using like a loose powder will definitely take away the tackiness, just to kind of set everything down and make sure it's not going to move throughout the day. So I'm going to go finish off the rest of my makeup, kind of see how everything blends on top, how my concealer blends under my eyes, and then I'll check back in with you guys in just a little bit. Alright, so I'm back. I have the rest of my makeup on. If you're wondering like what I'm wearing on my face, I will leave everything linked down below in the description box, so I know I'm probably going to have a couple questions here and there. So all the things that are on my face right now will be linked down below, so make sure you check it out there. But you guys, I am loving this so far. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. Everything blended out so nicely on top of this. I was so surprised how quickly everything blended out, especially my concealer. It laid really nicely with the powder, and I do think it's necessary, at least for people with oily skin like me, to set this with a powder because you still will have that tacky feeling. I didn't set my face yet while I was doing my eyes because I wanted to see how well it was going to dry down, and it did not dry down in the like 10 to 15 minutes I was working on my eyes. So I definitely would recommend setting this if you are oily like me. It feels so good on the skin. It definitely is that lightweight feeling, but it gives you such a full coverage look. Like, I'm astonished at how full coverage this looks. It really looks like the Kat Von D or the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation, and the coverage, it feels so much lighter than that. I feel like I'm really not wearing anything on my face, which is insane. And it is a more moussey formula, so I really did like applying this with my E6 brush from Morphe. I think a flat top Kabuki brush is going to be one of the best application tools you can use for getting a really full coverage look, but this looks absolutely gorgeous on my skin. I think the color is nice. It did get a tad bit darker. I wouldn't say it oxidized, but I do think it just kind of dried down to a little bit darker than I originally thought it was going to be, which is fine. I don't think it's going to be a huge issue, but when I look up at my skin up close, I don't see a huge difference in the pores or the texture on the unprimed side versus the primed side. I feel like they both look beautiful. The pores a little bit on this side look a tad bit better, but I'm not gonna lie, this isn't emphasizing a lot of texture or pores on my skin. Like, everything just looks so good, and I love how full coverage this is. I actually really do enjoy the finish of this. It is more of like a natural matte finish like it suggests, rather than something that's super drying matte and gives you like a flat matte finish, which a lot of people do like. I do like sometimes too, but I like how natural this is, yet it still kind of has that matte effect. You can apply something that's a little bit more luminous on top if you wanted the full coverage but you don't want the matteness to it, or you can just apply a crap ton of highlighter like I did today. But I'm really enjoying this so far. I really hope it controls my oils. I hope it stays like this throughout the day. It does say it's going to be a 24-hour wear foundation, so we're gonna put that to the test. I will be wearing this for about 10 to 12 hours today, depending on how tired I'm feeling, because it is about 12:30 right now. So we're gonna see how well this wears on my skin. I will be doing 2 follow-ups for you guys, one at the 6-hour mark and then another one at the very end of the day towards the 10 to 12-hour mark, so we can see how well this is wearing on my skin. So fingers crossed that this looks good. Right now I'm loving this, especially for something that is only $11.99 from the drugstore. I feel like it's a great price for how beautiful this looks on the skin, how lightweight it feels, and just how high coverage it is. So I will leave a picture of the display so you guys can see how many shades there are, and I will have more information down below on this foundation specifically if you are wondering, or if you wanted to read up about it or buy it online for yourself right now. So again, it is 12:30 right there, so I will check back in with you guys in about 6 more hours to see how this foundation is wearing. So I'm back for my 6-hour check-in mark. It is about 6:30 right now. So you guys, I wanted to jump on here like 3 hours ago and just tell you how obsessed I am with this. This feels so good on the skin. I was even looking at this up close about 10 minutes ago, and honestly my texture is like, you can't see it, it's not there. I feel like I do not even have any texture when I feel like I have so much texture on my skin. I have such large pores. You will see in some of my other foundation videos where there's some that just emphasize my texture so awfully that I just want to like take it off right then and there, and I don't want to wear it throughout the day. But this looks so beautiful on the skin. I feel like I have like a filter on my skin, but it's literally just this foundation. I don't feel oily. I don't even look oily. My mom was saying how smooth my skin looks because of this foundation. Honestly, like, I think I found my new favorite foundation from the drugstore. Like, to me, this beats the Pro Matte, which this one will start to break up on me about like the 8-hour mark. So I'm gonna see how this looks about the 8 to 10-hour mark, and I'm gonna let you guys know towards the end of the day how I'm feeling about it. But right now, my heart is so happy. This looks and feels so good. It doesn't look cakey. Again, it's so full coverage, but I feel like I have nothing on my skin at all, and I'm so impressed with this. I do think that, again, this applies best with a brush. I will try it with a beauty blender, and I'll let you guys know in the description box on updates about the foundation and different primers and different tools and everything that I'm using. But right now, from what I used this morning, my first impression, I'm obsessed. I feel like this is quite affordable as well for how beautiful I feel like this looks on the skin. I feel like it looks and feels like a high-end foundation. Like, the look of this reminds me so much of my Kat Von D and my Estee Lauder Double Wear, and the coverage of this, but it's like a $12 foundation from the drugstore. And if this holds up any longer, I'm gonna be so pleased, because I feel like I have no oils on my face. My skin is so smooth looking, and I'm flabbergasted with how good this looks and how happy I am. So this is going to be my 6-hour check-in mark. Of course, I will check in with you guys a little bit later for the 10 to 12-hour check-in mark, and we're going to see how much longer this can wear on my skin. Back for my final check-in. It is about 12:08. Yes, 12:08 right there. So this has been on my face for about 11.5 hours. I actually am like a little dewy, like a little bit, as you guys can see on like my forehead and my cheek area right here. But honestly, for being on my skin for this long, I'm not mad about it, and I can definitely blot my skin if I need to wear it for longer than 12 hours, which I typically don't wear my makeup this long, to be honest with you. And I wanted to give you guys a good long wear test and representation of what this foundation can do. This obviously says 24 hours. I do not doubt that this would look good still with like 4 more hours of wear. The only place it's really rubbing away on my skin is right where my nose is, because that's like the first place that all my foundations tend to wear away the fastest. But honestly, it still looks so good. Everything is still in place. My bronzer, contour, blush, and highlight are all still there. I just feel like this is still full coverage. My skin looks smooth. I was again looking at my skin up close, and honestly, like, I don't see any of my texture, and I don't know how that's possible, but my skin is looking so flawless with this foundation on, and I'm loving every second of it. I feel like I found my new favorite drugstore foundation. I know that's a big claim. I still have a lot of other foundations that I want to try out from the drugstore, but right now this is totally beating my Pro Matte and my Maybelline Matte and Poreless. Like, I love those foundations, but this has honestly really surprised me, and I am loving it so far. You guys can see on my skin how gorgeous this still looks, and it just looks still perfect. Like, I cannot explain it to you. The coverage is amazing. It feels so lightweight. I literally feel like I'm wearing a moisturizer on my skin, and the color is perfection. I really only started getting oily like 2 hours ago, so at like the 10-hour mark, which is pretty good. So I am really loving this so far. If you guys see this in your local store, definitely pick it up. I would highly recommend it if you have oily skin, if you really like a full coverage, because this is a pretty full coverage. I did apply quite a bit of product. You can probably share it out with a beauty blender or a beauty sponge, but if you want a full coverage, this is definitely the way to go from the drugstore. And if you have oily skin like me, I mean, like, look at this. I'm barely oily and it's been on my skin for like 11.5 hours, almost 12 hours. That's insane. So I'm loving this. Again, it's probably my new favorite foundation from the drugstore, which is so exciting. But I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please give this video a big thumbs up if you are excited about this foundation, or if you are wanting to try it, or if you have tried it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed if you haven't already. I love you all so very much, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!